Today, I'm going to explain a training, 21 German-American, heist, comedy movie called Army of Thieves, a prequel to Army of the Dead. It is the second installment of the Army of the Dead franchise. The movie begins with the explanation of a respectable locksmith called Hans Wagner, who was once a hard-working man on TV. His wife and son died, tragically in his waiting years. He started to design a series of 4 saves based on Richard Wagner's legendary Ring cycle comprised of 4 operas. He then named the safe as the following: Rheingold, Valkyrie C, Crichton Gutter Demerol. After completing the masterpiece, Hans built the final safe, which used to lock himself away for good. Several attempts had been made to free him from the same, but all failed. Then finally the safe was dropped into the ocean with Hans' dead body still inside it. Until now, the location of the saves remain one of the greatest mysteries of the safecracking world. Back to them. Sebastian, the main character of the movie, is living a mundane life as a bank teller in Germany, where he has to face annoying customers that keep complaining every day. One day at work, he sees news of a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas. In his spare time, he creates safecracking related videos for his YouTube channel. Unfortunately, all of his videos have no viewers at all, but he never gives up. A few moments later, one of his videos receives a viewer and a comment for the first time from a mysterious figure who invites him to attend an underground safe cracking competition in Berlin. He eventually arrives at the location that was written on the comment and says the secret word to the guard, which was "got their demo." Regardless it in, and he arrives at the venue where several participants are already present and preparing themselves for the safecracking competitions. The competition begins and all the participants starts to practice. The front of it. Well, the confused Sebastian just stands still and panics. However, this passion eventually manages to crack the safe and proceeds the semi-final with 3 other finalists. The next one begins and Ivo is the first guy who succeeds to crack the second safe. This time Sebastian is already prepared and manages to be the second person that cracks the safe, allowing him to proceed to the grand final. In the grand final, participants are required to solve the safe within 3 minutes or it'll be considered as ad. I knew he's trying hard to crack the safe while Sebastian just keep chatting to distract. You always annoyed and tells him to shut up. After that, Sebastian starts to deal with the save and manages to crack easily, making him the champion of the competition. Accidentally spots a girl named Gwen, who is impressed by his safecracking skill. Turns out that Gwen is a skilled jewel thief who has been doing her actions, and she was a child. It was 6-year-old when she manages to steal her purse wristwatch. Surprisingly, Gwen also had a red notice from Interpol, since she was 17 the next day. Sebastian continues his boring, daily life. But this time, he finally meets some talks to Grant for the first time. Will buy coffee. She reveals that she's the one who plays their comment on YouTube and invited him to the competition to see his safecracking skill. But also shows off her stealing skill by purposely stealing a wedding ring, a watch and a gun from a coffee shop visitors. She then invites Sebastian to be part of her heist team. At first, he hesitates as he is not a criminal and has no experience in doing so. But when Gwen explains that they are going after the entire ring cycle saves, Sebastian becomes excited because he is, it's hardcore fan, but still unsure as to saves are extremely hard to solve before Green leaves. She reveals that the saves are due to be decommissioned in 96 hours. Meaning that they have very limited time to have the opportunity to solve the safe. He's realizing that this may be the last moment for him to crack the masterpiece. Sebastian decides to join the team and travels to Quinn's hideout there. Gwen introduces other team members to Sebastian. The first one is Karina, who is in charge of logistics and he's a hacker. She blames herself. After that, there is Rolf the getaway driver, who was previously working as a valet parking driver, and is known as the best drifter in the town. The last member is Brad Cage, the action hero who claims himself to be the but then denied by Go. First, Sebastian is surprised and confused at the same time because the international heisting county only consists of 5 members including him. When clarifies that the smaller the size of the crew, the harder for them to get caught. The 5 of them plan to perform 3 heists across Europe in 3 days. Their first stop will be Paris, where Rheingold, the safe with the least combinations among the other slaves, sits in a credit union. Just a moment before the heist, Sebastian suddenly hesitates and panics because Brad Cage equipped himself with a gun when tries to comfort him, by saying that the gun is unloaded. Sebastian is the first guy to go into the credit union and directly head straight to the bathroom. And when steals the keys from the security guard and comes in as a guest to see the deposit room. After that, Karina arrives at the bank, to distract the teller, while Gwen and Sebastian sneak into the world and arrive at the place where the safe is kept. Sebastian finally has the opportunity to perform a safe cracking skills with their real and challenging safe after explaining the story behind the safe to Quit. He manages to solve the puzzle easily, and the safe is unlocked. They gathered the money from the vault and then escaped from the credit union while Brad is tracks the pillar for the second time. The crew successfully undertakes their highest, and escapes undetected from the other side to across an obsessive Interpol agent, who has been chasing the crew for years after Bradshaw. We Asked finds the footage of the highest at the credit union and suspects Gwen Screw is the culprit behind it. His team member B. Drinks asks the urgency of chasing the thieves as there are currently a zombie outbreak that needs more attention, but he's already too obsessed with the thieves and doesn't care about the zombie apocalypse. She figures out that the crew is going to the remaining Wagner Saves location and owners of the other Interpol officers to get ready. The crew celebrates after the Paris heist. Karina asks Sebastian to make out, but your thesis, as he develops feelings for Gwen secretly, which disappoints. Karina later on tonight, Creo reveals to Sebastian that Brad's real name is Alexis, and she is in a relationship with him. Regardless, Sebastian spends the night with her talking about their past life and the location of Growth or Demerol, sowing jealousy in Brad. The next day, the crew arrives in Prague where the Valkyrie save is kept in the NBIB bank. Sebastian and Gwen was speaking to the bank with Karina will be assisting them from the fan. Sebastian manages to get access to several rules undetected and finally reach the elevator where he meets Gwen. They're both of them to send to the underground and arrive at the world upon arrival. They meet with two guards and Grant manages to defeat both of them with her martial arts skill, as usual before cracking. Sebastian explains the story behind the safety Grant unfortunately. A bank security officer detects Sebastian's movement and becomes suspicious of his strange disappearance in the CCTV. They then decide to trigger the soft lockdown alarm, causing Brad to launch Plan B and starts equipping himself with weapons and a weird masks. He gets into the back and knocks out several security guard for the tranquilizer darts. He also orders the bank patrons to the center of the room while urging the staff to fill a bag with money. Side door Cry and his team are waiting for but nothing happens. They decide to get into the bank only to find out that they have been waiting on the wrong bank as the safe had been moved to NPI. Be back to the vault. Sebastian fails at the first attempt, risking it to be locked forever if he fails one more time. Luckily, he eventually manages to crack the puzzle and open the safe, moving some of the money to their backs. Thanks to the chaos caused by Brad, Sebastian and Gwen are able to flee from the vault while leaving Brad is shot in the shoulder by secure guard, but manages to get back into the back row, begins their getaway and when successfully jumps into the van with Brazil. When it's Sebastian's turn, Rat deliberately throws him back to the street, forcing him to escape the pursuit by himself. He manages to steal a bike and use it to escape from the police. Sebastian eventually is able to reach a train and leaves with it. Delacroix and the team finally arrived at the NPIB, but it is too late as the bank is already filled with local beliefs, which makes him furious. So Gwen is very angry and disappointed with Brad's previous action, even though they had agreed previously to ditch Sebastian after 3 heists are completed. She orders Roll to stop the fan and decides to leave the fan in the high steel. Green also joins her and both of them decide to head back to Munich and reunite with Sebastian. The depressed Sebastian is surprised when he finds Karina and Gwen have been waiting for him in the house. They apologized, and Gwen encourages him to continue the heist after several encouraging words. He finally decides to join Karina and Gwen again to proceed to their final heist. They head to St. Moritz where the third savior's located while still a Cry and his team also present in the town this time is more prepared and confident because one of their members manages to break into Sebastian's communication line and reveals their plan. The Interpol team gets into the casino only to find out that they are tricked as to save has been transported earlier because they contacted the casino staff, which makes their LaCroix confused. It turns out that 8 hours earlier Irina impersonated an Interpol agent and contact that the manager of the casino. Our secret is kept performing them that the save might be attacked. Because of attacks, Sebastian is grim. Hijacked their armored truck and picked up about themselves while Korea purposely right Corsair radio transmission that convinced the Interpol that the pickup time was still on schedule. Sebastian works on the vault as Gwen drives them towards their escape. Unfortunately Better enrolled for also waiting at the casino and managed to spot Grant's location through her for GPS aware of the threat. Karina comes out of the van and tries to stop them, but she immediately is surrounded by Interpol agents and arrested. Luckily, she manages to inform Gwen. Beatrice convinces her to tell them Quint's getaway plan, blowing in your bowl to chase after them. Long story short, Sebastian manages to crack the safe, lock, and Quinn decides to pull the truck over to collect all the money within the vault. Unfortunately, Brad and Rolf arrived. And Brad pulls his gun on the pair. Turns out that Gwen had already removed the firing pin from Brad's gun, and she turns the table, as she has also equipped with a gun and coming both Brad and take the truck for Interpol to find before leaving with Sebastian. The bear arrives at the pier, just before leaving on a boat. They are caught by Delacroix, points his gun towards them. Gwen points her cut back at the Interpol agent. And after some negotiations, she finally decides to sacrifice herself to be arrested by him. As she is what he wanted to acquire, reluctantly agrees, and arrests Gwen, and Sebastian escapes with the boat. He finds a passport prepared by Karina and travels to the United States. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications to leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.